a few of these things, the way he's going about on the streets is very, very, it reminds us of Mamata Banerjee 10 years ago or 12 years ago. Well, she did the same thing, but I think the problem was, I believe everybody comes with good intentions and then slip into other things. So I think her problem was lack of or her inability to have an administrative capacity, but to depend on loyalties of certain people. Slowly, the people that you are loyal to you, they will draw you down in so many ways. And I think she went down that way faster than you could imagine and took the state where it was, where the only… in the end thing will be only to use the stick on everybody that opposes you, which happened. And once you give in to certain leniencies in your own personal agendas, everybody else will take that leniency and take it to another level of corruption and exploitation. This has happened. But above all, I feel one strong thing which made this difference, the kind of numbers that happened in Bengal has a lot to do with what happened in Bangladesh in the last 12 months. I think the Bengalis woke up to the reality. If we go down this lane, this is what's going to happen here also, and we don't want that to happen. And that's not new. If you have little more… if you're not so affected by your amnesia, if you look back in 1948, this has happened in Kolkata and all over large parts of Bengal, and they have faced the famine in the World War II times, so their suffering is not entirely forgotten. I've spoken to various Bengali families and their grandmothers, all their childhood, they've been talking about what happened in the famine, what happened in 1948. But somehow it did not really get into their minds, but I think this… what happened in Bangladesh really woke them up in a certain way. Can't take away the credit from the party machinery that worked on the ground. Definitely they've done their job, but I think that was a significant factor.
In
And
what way, Sadhguru? How
Hmm?
does Bangladesh affect the psyche of somebody staying in West Bengal? People will argue that this is an effort to try and compare apples and oranges.
Well, we must understand it's the same land where we have drawn an artificial line. The same people speak the same language, same culture. It is just that they took on a different religious identity and they went down a different lane, largely because of Mujibur Rahman and later on his daughter. They maintained a certain balance of that, didn't go to the extremes. But in recent times, I think in the last 12 months, they had a free run and they know what happens. This… from my understanding, by knowing the people across the border, lots of Bangladeshis, they were left with a bad taste in their mouth. It's not something that they wish to do, but certain groups of people do it, but they don't have the courage to go and stop it. Nor did the government machinery had the necessary gumption, or maybe willingly they allowed it, whichever way it was. But everybody understood if you go down this lane, this is what will happen. So on either side of the border, large number of people, majority of the people don't want such things to happen. And that became very clear. If you go down this lane, this is what will happen. So I think it has had a significant impact on people's psyche.
Are you
They
talking
are
about
oranges.
the radicalization of Bangladesh in recent
The
times?
same apple, it's the same apple that we cut, one fell that way and one fell this way. It's not apples and oranges, it's the same apple.
But how can the kind of radicalization or the radicalism that we saw in Bangladesh, especially after the removal of Sheikh Hasina, how does that threaten India? India, at its very core, including West Bengal, is a secular state.
You can call any state whatever you want, but people experience only what happens on the street. One thing is, if you go back to the history of Bengal, even during the times of Mahabharat, where they called it the Vangadesha, even at that time, people talk about how these Vanga people were so accomplished in their art, music, literature, such evolved and civilized people. People are talking about this, even then. And even during British era, everybody recognized that Bengal was a very culturally rich, it was a nation, Vanga was a nation by itself. So somewhere along the way, I think this left rule where chief minister spent half the time in London and ruled, you know, with a certain this thing, and they thought the only way to control things was with violence. Once you bring violence into the picture, the intelligent in the population will all recede or will migrate.
Mm.
I think this has happened to Bengal in a serious way. The most intelligent people, talented people have moved out in a big number, not everybody, but a large number has moved out. Once you lose that population, you have lost something very vital in any civilization. So if you want to see Bengal or Vanga or Bangla as a civilization, they have lost massively in the last 45 years' time.
Mm.
So I think in that sense, this loss has been felt by people and everything is coming down to the street level action. And openly politicians, people in power are talking about, we will fight on the street. See, this language should go from the nation. Your fight is in the ballot,
Mm.
never on the street. Street fighters should be eliminated from the nation. If we don't do this, we don't have a nation. This is very important.
Mm.
And once the administration itself doesn't respect law and order, then people lose that sense of comfort and being there in that state. So, a huge number of people, both the elite and the lowest classes from certain districts have left. You just look at the labor working in Tamil Nadu, in Karnataka, most of the construction labor are Bengalis. They're not there simply out of their choice, they did not migrate. They've migrated because there is no livelihood and there is no protection and safety, particularly for women. So this is a serious thing that must be addressed. I hope the new administration that comes up will take up these challenges. It's not going to be easy because the rot has set in at a certain level.
Mm.
It takes lots of nurturing, not just fixing, not just violently putting down something. You need to nurture people out of the situations that they've gotten into, because many people get into various situations not necessarily by choice, but because that'll be the only choice available, so everybody gets into that one way or the other. When especially such situations last for long enough, which it has happened in Bengal.
Mm. You spoke of Shubhendu Adhikari. It reminded me, Sadhguru, that he said all through this election and even at its conclusion that this was a fight to save Sanatan. Do you think this is a legitimate argument or is it politicization of Sanatan? That doesn't belong to any one party or any one person.
Sanatan definitely does not belong to any party, but someone can take it up as an agenda, because we cannot forget the country was partitioned on the basis of religion. Though most of us did not believe that, or most of us do not identify with that kind of division, but that's how the country was divided. We lost one-third of the geography in one shot on both sides, east and west. And well, thanks to Mrs. Gandhi, that at least she made only one Pakistan. Otherwise, we would have East Pakistan and West Pakistan. In today's world, that would have been a biggest disaster. At least that one thing was done. So you cannot just wipe out. See, you're in the news cycle, if it's out of the news cycle, it's over for you, you're in the next story. But people who got killed, their homes burned and whatever terrible things happened to them, that memory carries across generations.
Mm.
So in that context, what he's saying is has relevance.
But when you refer to the partition, how is that relevant to West Bengal?
Bangladesh is sitting right next to you, it was all one Bengal and they put a line there. On what basis? On a religious basis, isn't it?
So you think we were in that danger again when we're talking about saving Sanatan through an election?
See, whether that danger happens or not, when the demographics start changing beyond the natural change that happens in a society. Natural change happens because Some people may have more children, somebody else has less children. That is a natural process, will take hundreds of years. But when demographics start changing because artificially being created, then insecurities will rise naturally.
These are just elections. Why is there so much talk about how this is a generational change? People of India have spoken very, very decisively. The kind of numbers we are seeing in West Bengal, past 200, Assam, past 100, clear majority. In Tamil Nadu, not a clear majority, but again, for a first timer to go past the 100 mark. What do you make of the voice of the people heard in this election?
This is something that everybody should take note of, not only within the country, outside the country also, because there have been disparaging comments about what India is. This is the level of maturity people hold. As uneducated they may seem for others from outside, as not so modern they may seem, but we are a very evolved democracy, a very mature democracy. We don't make too much noise, we go to the ballot and do what we have to do. 92%. People don't get that kind of marks in mathematics. All right. It's a fantastic display of the commitment that we have for democracy and the maturity that Indian democracy has. And everything is over 80% in most of the states. It's spectacular. It's a spectacular dance of democracy which you don't see anywhere in the world. For example, in United States, only 43, 44% go to vote. 92+ percentage shows that how people value democracy. And when they